It's a little hot to the touch. Not hot at all. So you're looking to buy a cutoff saw. Should you buy a cold cut saw that uses the carbide tooth blade, or should you buy an abrasive cutoff saw? Continue watching. We hope to help answer that question. As you see, this is a carbide tooth blade. It runs at a fairly low RPM, and this is an abrasive cutoff blade. This saw runs at much higher RPM at over 2.5 times the RPM of the cold cut saw. So for starters, I'm just going to show you the finish of the cut. So this is the carbide cutoff wheel. That was the second cut we made with the Evolution saw. A little bit of a burr there, but fairly light. Touch of a burr there. Nothing there, nothing there. This is the abrasive cutoff wheel with the rigid saw. Nice burr there, not too bad. On this side, I'd say a fairly heavy burr. The other two sides had no burr to speak of on this cut. So I'd like to point out that this side was significantly hotter than the other, and it still has a little warmth. So, and you can even see a little bit of burnt there. Probably the paint that the residual paint on this piece of steel. This is inch and a half, 1/16 wall thickness. So for starters, I made sure that this fence was perfectly perpendicular to the blade. Same thing on the rigid saw here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit this with a file. Knock all those burrs off because we want to see how square these cuts are. So you can see that's pretty square. Also pretty square. It's not machinist perfect. But I would say perfectly acceptable in either case. So what I want to illustrate here is an abrasive blade has a bit of flex to it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger, and when I do, you'll see that the blade will start to wobble as it builds up at the RPMs. As you saw, as it built up full RPM, the wobble kind of went away, but that could be a factor as far as maybe making an entry cut that is not as clean as you'd like it to be. This blade does not allow a convenient way to hold it without getting your fingers right next to the blade, but as I push on there, there's a little bit of flex. There always is to a saw blade. When I pull the trigger, I don't think you're going to see all that vibration that you'll see before. So never saw any vibration in the blade. So the whole point of this video is to discuss what saw is right for you, whether and primarily for the hobbyist, whether you should spend the extra money to buy a carbide tooth cutoff saw or an abrasive wheel cutoff saw, abrasive blade. The carbide saw is going to make a much cleaner cut. Much less cleanup. There are very few sparks, and in fact the saw that I have will clamp the steel in this posture, so it's never cutting through a lot of steel at once, so it's always cutting through just basically the wall of the steel. It will cut much faster, so if you're looking to make a lot of cuts, you know, the carbide tooth saw is going to make, the carbide tooth blade is going to make a much faster cut. The cost is where it's prohibitive. So I paid $338 for the saw that I have, and that is considered a professional saw by Evolution. I believe it's a less, it's not the most up-to-date saw that they have in that style. So their list price on the website is $376. So little tip: fill out, put the saw in your cart, and I'm putting the model number across the screen there. This particular one, they allowed this. So if you put the saw in the cart, fill out all of the information like you're going to check out, but don't put your credit card number in there. Just let it sit. They're going to send you an email giving you a little extra discount. Some of the models, the more recent models, they won't allow you to use that discount code, but they allowed me to use it, and I saved like $40 roughly. So just a tip there. Hopefully they don't remove it because they saw this video, but probably not. So on the abrasive saw, the much larger burr, you have to clean that up before you start welding. The blade wobbles a little bit. I showed that to you in the video. There's a lot of sparks. So if you have any wood chips around, you're much more likely to be at risk of fire. And when I was making cuts, some of the sparks were even traveling 10 feet behind the saw. Much less expensive. On Facebook Marketplace, you can find a lot more of these for sale. In fact, the one I have, as you saw, looks a little rough. I paid $50 for it. That is a far cry from what I bought the Evolution saw at $338. So, but new retail, it's $179. So, just over twice or half the cost of the Evolution. Now, to my knowledge, this saw is the Evolution saw. That is the least expensive saw on the market, and I'm not counting what you can find on Amazon. Evolution is a respectable brand, so if you're looking at the Milwaukee, Makita, Rigid doesn't make one, I don't believe. Those saws are going to be even more than what you're going to pay for Evolution. My closing thoughts are, if I have the money, I'm going to spend the extra money and buy the carbide tooth saw, or the saw that takes the carbide tooth blade. Just because it cuts faster, the lack of sparks, how clean the cut is. So I really appreciate that, and then just less hassle. I don't feel like I have to move outside. I'm a fan of the carbide tooth blade, even though I've spent a lot more money on it. Please subscribe, like the video. Hope to see you next time.